very excited about this guest. I'm excited about most of my guests because I genuinely have an interest in them before I ask them to come on. Ashley Leachin is here. You have probably seen this woman on incredible TikTok fame. BuzzFeed is obsessed with her. I think they've done every story under the sun on Ashley. And why you know Ashley is she is a complete, I mean, she looks exactly like Taylor Swift. And you're here today to talk about it for better or worse.
Yes.
For better or worse, you look exactly like Taylor Swift.
That is a compliment. It really is. And I'll forever take it a compliment. Like, take it as a compliment.
And I'm glad you're here because this is the first time you've really told your full story because there's been a lot of, well, first of all, I mean, the amount of hate you get is just unbelievable. I mean, no person should have to endure that. And yet you continue to show up, you continue to live your life, which I give you a ton of credit for.
Thank you.
But you're here to tell your full story. So I thought we could start at the beginning for people that don't know you. They're going to see you and they're going to go, oh my God, this woman looks like, I mean, you could be her identical twin. But tell me like where you grew up, like what you were like as a child. And I mean, do your children's pictures look exactly like Taylor Swift's children's photos?
Oh my goodness. As far as myself as a child, I really I've tried to like go back and forth with how I wanted to answer that. So as far as like my actual childhood itself, like there wasn't really like this, oh my God, I look like Taylor. It was, this, I guess, cool nickname that I had in high school.
So people nicknamed you Taylor.
Yeah.
Swift. Okay, so from high school, like people began to go, hey, you look like that singer.
Yeah,
okay.
Just my transition into high school. She was up and coming. Tim McGraw. I mean, she was on, music videos. Like, it's, you would watch it every morning when you're getting ready for school. And yeah, so eventually they were just like, yeah. Like, I had long, blonde, curly hair. And of course, I was bleaching it at that time.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And were you like, did you always want to be an actor? So it's kind of started out as just this, people go, oh, you sort of look like her, but did you like think about leaning into it at that time or what did you?
No, never during that time. I mean, my upbringing is a little like, I don't really talk about it very often. But it wasn't your like average, like white picket fence, but my adopted family ultimately wanted to push me into modeling, acting, and I was actually scouted at one point. They're just like, oh, you have a resemblance. And of course, I've been told I have like 9 different faces. So I don't, I feel like everyone has like 9 different doppelgangers in the world. Everybody starts to kind of look similar and yeah.
Who else do people tell you that you look like?
Oh my gosh. When I had my snaggletooth, which I was very self-conscious about, they would say like the Spider-Man girl, and Kirsten Dunst was like the first thing. Kirsten Dunst, because I have really big cheeks, and like they were just like, yeah, you're like a mix of Kirsten Dunst and Taylor Swift, and I don't know, I've never watched American Horror Story, but there's a woman on there, I think Lily something,
okay.
I can't remember, but they tell me I look like her, and so many other. I even told I look like Selena Gomez, like when I had darker hair, and I think sometimes it's just.
Well, I have another one to add to your list. I feel like you look like Lori Loughlin. Do you remember from Full House? She was like the mom from Full House. And I think she went to jail for a hot second because she like lied to get her daughter into USC.
No.
Okay, well, Google that. It's like a whole college scandal. But you kind of look like Lori
Really?
Loughlin too. Yeah, you do have one of those faces that looks like a lot of people.
Different. Yeah, and when you put makeup on, you can transform into anybody. I mean,
it's true. Yeah, you can. You can really make yourself look like that. Mm-hmm. So, okay, growing up, did you always know that you wanted to be in entertainment? Did you want to be in front of the camera?
I wanted to be an actor. I knew I locked away a lot of my childhood, so I can't recall a ton of it. I'm in therapy for that.
Good. That's a good start. That's a good. It sounds like it was quite traumatic. Were you adopted or were you?
I was.
Okay, you were adopted.
Yeah.
And are you close with your parents now, or?
So my biological family still lives, but everyone in my adopted family, except for one person, is they're all deceased. So I don't really have any relationship with my biological family because I was a ward of the state at 3 years old and then bounced around from foster care. So yeah. Everybody thinks like, oh my gosh, you're finally adopted. And it's like, no, like I probably was better off in foster care.
Yeah, you have a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in therapy?
Oh my gosh. Since I left home at 16. So it's been a while.
Yeah. Well,
it's been well over 10 years.
Having an unstable childhood like that will do it, and just you have a lot of emotions. Plus you're a mom now, I mean, I'm sure for you, a lot of things come up like.
And what people don't understand is that they say, oh, it happened. It's in the past. But as you get older, it starts manifesting in your body. You start like feeling things like, wow, and then remembering things that you didn't even know happened.
Yeah.
So it's good. Therapy's good.
Absolutely. And I feel like having kids, like I have a 2.5-year-old and they, like they bring up everything for you, like how I think, even if you didn't have a challenging childhood, you think, why did my parents do that? We know so much more now than we do then, right?
Absolutely.
And so I'm sure for you, in your case, maybe if things, you weren't always treated well, you're like, how could you do that to a child?
Right.
Put a child through that when you're your own mother now.
Yep. That's exactly what goes through my mind.
So you wanted to act in high school. You start acting, you start modeling. When was the first time and people had kind of given you this comparison that you looked like Taylor.
Yeah, it was just kind of, I wouldn't call it a running joke. It was more of just like an inside, just like thing between me and my friends and, like some of the football team and I have a couple of pictures that I've shown like publicly and they're like, whoa. It's because like before, of course, I got veneers.
They look amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was something I was very self-conscious about and just doing a lot of research, I looked at a picture of Taylor when she was that age because we have a 4-year difference, like 3. Actually, I don't even know now. 3 or 4 year difference.
You're older, right?
I'm younger.
You're younger. Oh my God.
Yeah, I just had
like
2 kids, so I've aged. And that's what people don't understand. They're like, oh my God, you look like you're 50. You look like you're 40. Like Taylor looks like you. And I'm like,
thanks.
I'm actually 30. But kids age you. I've gone through a lot that has aged me quickly. So
yes. It sounds like you've been.
And now I'm finally trying to take care of myself. And actually, at 30 years old, it's like everything just goes downhill.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, I'm 40, so you wait.
You do not look 40. Wow.
Yeah, well, I feel like nothing goes downhill till after 40. But anyway, you're like a baby. Okay, so she's 3 or 4 years older than you are.
Yeah. She'll be 34. Yeah.
You're a smart woman. You actually have your degree in nursing. You're a registered nurse. You're not practicing now, but you graduate from high school. Why did you decide you wanted to do nursing?
Well, I actually I left home at 16, and then there was a lot of stuff in between there. Eventually, I found my way to my husband. And then from there, I just did restaurant for so many years. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do restaurant. I had kids. I feel like I didn't have my life together. You're supposed to have like house, husband, and then you have kids. And it's just like, I went the opposite way. I had kids first, and then I realized what I wanted to do. So ultimately, the reason why I wanted to be a nurse was because my mom was a NICU nurse, and she was not a very nice nurse. So I wanted to just show the world like, hey, there are actual like caring people out there.
Yeah.
And I can kind of just give that back.
Yeah.
I'm an empath, so it's the perfect avenue for me.
So did you become a NICU nurse or did you
actually
do other nursing?
I did different. I did a ton of different like I went through every single, I would say, I went through med surg. I went through operating room nurse. I did circulating. I did scrub until I landed in trauma nursing. And I was like, I love trauma nursing because I had patients come in and I was just like, they're at their lowest, worst moments in their life and you're actually able to make a difference. So
Oh my Lord. Okay. Are you like, were they sitting there and they've had severe, like their arm is hanging off and they're like, wait a minute, are you Taylor Swift about to give me an IV? Like, were they like, oh, I know
so
my arm
funny.
is mangled, but wait a minute. Are you? Like, when people say that to you?
And like, well, in the trauma ICU, of course, like the patients are intubated, so a
Oh,
lot
no
of
one's
times they're
speaking.
not.
Okay.
They're not speaking. But I was always floated to like the emergency room. I was afloat because I did travel nursing too, and so I would actually have staff like on the units like ask like, oh my God, can I take a picture with you? Like my niece is a huge fan of Taylor Swift, and with the mask, you know, I guess like I have tiny eyes so they don't see the eye color. So they're just like, whoa, I thought you were Taylor Swift coming in to, take my blood pressure, ultimately. I did have that quite a few times.
Okay. So you, like, you get married, you have kids, you get married, you start this career. I mean, did that help you? Like, how is your husband? Is he supportive of you? I mean, you've
very
been through
supportive.
so much. It seems like you found this good man
Yes. And I've been with him for, oh my
Thank you.
gosh, well over 10 years. And
Wow.
he has helped me every step of the way. I mean, he was there for me when I had no one. And yeah, he gave me, you know, just a safe space.
Yeah.
And he's my person.
Yeah, you seem like you're very lucky to have him, and your children, I'm sure, are such a light for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, when did you start pursuing that you looked like Taylor Swift? Was it through the pandemic on TikTok? Like, when did you just put yourself out there? Like, how did
Through
it?
the pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was doing just staff nursing,
Mm-hmm.
and then once the pandemic hit, and I was doing OR nursing, there were no hours because nobody was outside. Everyone was in quarantine. So they said, we don't really have any hours for you. So I explored crisis, and I was like, I really love crisis. So I got on with crisis nursing.
Wow.
And I was deployed down to Florida right when everything hit. And I worked with the National Guard, the Army. We did all of the swabbing, pretty much just like the very beginning, you know, where we had 400 cars lined up to get tested.
Sure.
And so I did all that, and everybody was just like, oh my gosh, like you look so much like Taylor Swift. And eventually I got COVID and I was quarantined. So my friend was just like, you should download this app. It's really fun. It was kind of like Musical.ly. And
Yes,
I
yes.
didn't do much on Musical.ly, but I knew what it was. And so I just had fun with it. And I didn't really have a niche. You know, when TikTok first started, it was about going viral. Do whatever you can
Yes.
to go viral, no matter what. No matter what the controversy is, go viral. So I would post about mental health. I would post acting skits, a lot of Grey's Anatomy stuff, because I just love Grey's Anatomy, and nursing. So I just did a whole different, I guess I did like a whole genre, like of just different things. And then once I moved to Nashville, that's when everything blew up. And a lot of people don't understand, like that's when everything started for, you know, on TikTok for me, was in Nashville.
Okay, so you moved to Nashville after you're doing sort of crisis nursing. And what was it about Nashville? Did someone tell you about TikTok? Did an agent find you? Like, what changed in
No,
Nashville?
it was for nursing. I started at a really big level 1 trauma center, and I wanted to just continue, you know, fully get trauma certified. And I believe that was the time where I got COVID. And I was in that area.
So what was the first TikTok video you put up that like exploded and people were like,
Oh,
oh my
yeah?
God, you're Taylor Swift?
That was a fun video because when my husband and I moved to Nashville, we made like this inside joke. We were just like, okay, everywhere we go, we're going to keep a tally. We'd walk into a donut shop. We'd walk into a Target. We'd go to Green Hills Mall. And we're just like, just keep a tally. See how many people would say, oh my God, it's Taylor Swift. Like, or you look like Taylor Swift. Have you ever gotten that? And it was like racking up 10, 11, 12. And then, so with TikTok, I decided to make a joke out of it. It was not serious. It was me in different outfits, just doing like a little acting skit. And I'd walk out of the house and I would say, going on a date with hubby. And it was like, oh my God, Taylor. But I just kind of like blew it up more than it was.
Well, sure,
It's
yeah,
not
you like leaned
always,
into
oh
it.
my God,
Yeah.
Taylor. It was just supposed to be more theatrical. And at the very end, it was just like a joke of this is my life now in a hoodie and a hat and no makeup on. And then the next morning, that video blew up. It was like 2.5 million. And I went from 0 to 30,000 followers overnight.
Yeah, you have hundreds
And
of
people
thousands
were
of
like,
followers on how many? Do you have almost 1 million, or do you have over 1 million on TikTok?
I think over 1 million,
Yeah.
And so that was like the beginning of it. And so everybody wanted to see Taylor content. So this was way before Taylor even like was on TikTok. So I would actually do little skits where I would lip sync and I would put red lipstick on, and I didn't really like do a lot of eye makeup or like perfect my eye, you know, just like I didn't really know how to do makeup. I never really wore makeup for one, except for a red lip and some, you know, eyelashes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was different back then.
And okay, this would have been like 2019, 2020.
2020.
Okay, 2020. So at first, were people? It sounds like at first people were.
Oh, they loved it.
They loved it. Okay.
They loved it.
Did brands
Yeah.
start reaching out? Were people
Yeah.
like, okay, were you monetizing at this time? Were you starting to make money? Okay.
No, not monetizing at all. That's why I think it's funny, because like when I Google myself, like they'll say that like I'm worth this X amount of money. And it's because like my entire time on TikTok, I've been making all this money, and I'm like, wow, don't believe everything you read on the internet.
I mean, I have 90,000 followers. My average video is like 10 to 20,000. I mean, I make peanuts. I mean, like less than $100 a month. It's a joke. That, I mean, now look, you have 10 times or more what I have, but still, I mean, if I'm, you know, I'm like, all right, maybe she's making $1,000, maybe, hopefully, you know, a month, I hope.
Yeah,
But it's not much.
when it comes to social media, it's like you're a business person and you just want to give out tips and, you know, just small business, or you're one of these, I don't know what to call it, like social media content creators that become celebrities. And I'm nowhere near a TikTok celebrity. People are like, oh, you're TikTok famous. No, I'm not. I don't consider myself TikTok famous. I have a niche on TikTok, and ultimately that's me wearing lipstick. That's my niche, honest. Like I will do something in my kitchen where I'm just dancing in my PJs and it'll go viral and people are like, stop acting like Taylor. But then I put red lipstick on and they're just like, oh, you don't look like Taylor. I'm just like, make up your mind.
Okay, so when did it shift? Because we're going to talk about, you know, you've had some viral moments, which, by the way, I completely would have done.
I've had multiple viral moments that are just random.
I think they're genius. I mean, you know, we'll talk about the prank that you did most recently here at the Grove with Vic, the YouTuber. I mean, I think this is genius. Like, I mean, any YouTuber would do this. Like, and I understand where people were upset because, you know, they felt like you could have incited like a riot because these people are so crazy about Taylor.
Right.
But I mean, so was there a viral prank that like then went from positive to negative? What was the first, like, or did BuzzFeed pick you up and then it got negative? When did it change?
So the big change would have been 2021. Where everyone started to attack me. Everything was wonderful, great. You have trolls every once in a while that are just like, oh, why did you wear your makeup like this? But 2021, that was I call the Twitter attack. 2021, the Twitter attack is what just set the tone for the rest of my, I would say, foreseeable future on TikTok. So,
and was it a specific video? Was it
It was. I call it the calendar event.
Okay.
I haven't spoken about it at all. This would be like the first time I've spoken very vaguely.
Okay.
But this was during the time where I realized I want to do acting. I want to get into acting. I will do anything to get an agent, get a manager. You know, you're at that baby stage where you're like, hey, you know, I want to be seen. And so I had an individual reach out to me, and he claimed to be in the Hollywood scene, I guess you would call it, in Los Angeles. And he reached out to me via social media. And then we got on the phone and he said, hey, I have a really great opportunity for you. And I would love for you to be in a commercial series. And I was like, okay.
Fabulous.
Cool. I would love to hear more. And we're on the phone. This isn't like, you know, just some random email. And he's like, before I tell you anything more, you need to sign an NDA. And I was like, okay, sure.
All right.
Sent over the NDA. I signed it. And after that, he explained that he was very close with Taylor's team and Taylor herself, and said that he had been friends with her since 2014.
Okay.
that he's worked with her and that he would like to create a series called Live Your Undone, and that I would be a double
Okay.
in the series, and I would work directly with Taylor and meet her ultimately.
Okay.
And multiple exchanges, contracts were signed. I mean, this man went as far as writing scripts. I have scripts. Like, I have receipts like I've never shown.
Oh my God.
And-
okay, keep going.
yeah.
I feel like I know where this is headed.
Yeah,
Okay.
scripts. And he would, that wasn't even, I thought that was far enough, but he went as far as actually creating voice messages that sounded like Taylor. Sorry, I'm like emotional about it.
No, I don't blame you. No, to be like duped like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So what led to the calendar event is this was like months of us going back and forth, talking. And he would just hype me up. He would say, you'd be a really great actor. I've been talking to Taylor. She's in London right now. And he would, you know, we exchange a lot of conversations. And he would say, she's in London right now. And she has been seeing the hate that you're getting, just, you know, here and there.
Yeah.
And she would like for you to make a video pointing to a calendar saying that it's on the calendar, ultimately. And so I did that, and he said it would be a great idea. It was more of just like just to say screw the haters, and that I was actually going to meet Taylor Swift. And he told me that she would make a video duetting me, pointing to a calendar saying the same thing. And at that point, I didn't know what I was doing. I was very naive, and I did what he said was okay to do.
Yeah.
And so after I did that, that's when everything just changed.
Because you put that video out, right? And then
It went viral.
It went viral because
so viral, yeah.
you're pointing to a calendar saying, I'm going to meet Taylor Swift. Like, you guys, like, it's all happening.
Yeah.
You know, you're thinking, okay, this guy is in part of her management team. Like, I've signed an NDA, all these things. He built your trust.
Were jet flight, like there were flight numbers for his jet. Like we had plans to go out to Nashville to meet with 13 management. That's what he would say. Like, we're going to go meet
Which
with
is
them.
like that. Is that legitimately
propose.
her management team? Like
13 management.
You had Googled that. Like did you Google him and like things came up?
There were so many, you know, your gut's always right.
Ugh,
and me and my
yes,
husband
I
would
know.
always discuss it. You know, we would always discuss it. Some things are too good to be true. He was hiring me. He was going to pay me. That was the thing. And so I started doing a lot of research on him, and he was who he said he was. He was in the BMX world. And
So like he had a legit email address.
He had a legit email address. He had a company. Yeah, he was a legitimate person. And I would talk to him day in and day out. And eventually, after a while, my gut started telling me, hey, this is, you know, after the video blew up.
Okay.
I was pretty much just all over Twitter.
Because
Everyone
people were
was
saying at what point this girl's crazy. She's
I
not
was
going to
getting
meet.
death threats. My DMs were filled. I took the video down after I started getting the DMs.
Like over what? They were mad at you for what? Just saying that, implying that Taylor wanted to meet you?
Yeah, because at that point, we'll talk about the whole Swiftie situation, but at that point, I wasn't that deep into the fandom that I knew what a secret session was. I had no idea.
Yeah. What? Okay, wait a minute. I don't have any clue.
I had no idea what a secret session was, and that a secret session is where Taylor would invite her fans to her home, and it was just very covert. You're not allowed to talk about it. You had to sign NDAs. You're blindfolded. Ultimately, you don't know the location. And me putting that video out there, it was wrong of me.
Wait, because you had said you were invited to a secret session, or you?
No, that I was going to meet Taylor.
Okay, the calendar video, you're saying.
Yeah.
And why do you feel like it was wrong? I feel like you got completely duped. Like you didn't do anything wrong.
I was, but when I look back, there were so many red flags with this man. There were so many red flags. I mean, I've been I've been groomed before. I've experienced what grooming is like on different levels.
Yeah.
And he groomed me. He did everything in his power to gain my trust. And then after that calendar video, I started questioning him. I started questioning because he would cancel stuff and then production wouldn't start. And then I'd try to go back to nursing and he would make it my fault. And he would say, well, you went back to nursing. How could we have even started production? And I was like, but I needed to provide for my family. I needed to make money. And so he was like, okay, well, I just want you to know that Taylor does see all of your stuff and she's seeing everything that's happening. And I want you to know that we're going to get together. It's going to be a surprise. It's going to happen for you. And I was so gung ho about it. Like, that would be so cool, to meet Taylor. And eventually I started questioning him. I did. I said, you know what? This isn't adding up ultimately. Yeah. And I said, it's not going to happen. I'm not going to meet Taylor. I don't know what your motive is, but you're ultimately dangling a carrot in front of me. And he told me that, pretty much said, how dare you not trust me? Like, with everything that we've been talking about, you've signed NDAs, you've signed contracts. Ultimately, just how dare you? And he would just get mad at me and I would go back to him. And like, I look back and I regret a lot of things.
Well, I always feel like, everything in life, right, is a teaching moment for other people. I
learned a lot from that.
For yourself, for myself, because I've been scammed in different ways. What was one red flag that stands out to you? What was something that he did or said early on where you were like, But, you are young and you were younger. Yeah. I mean, Hollywood is so enticing, and it's so hard, to sift through the people that are legit.
The red flags, I would say the way he spoke to me.
From the beginning? Yeah.
As a manager.
Okay.
A business person, like just a professional relationship. It wasn't professional. And I allowed him to just, I don't know. I don't even know the words for it, but just the way he spoke to me.
I mean, from the start, like, would he just like put you down or yell at you? Or
no, he was very sweet, very weird. It was very
okay. You almost felt like it was kind of creepy sexually,
sexually.
Okay, okay, gotcha.
Yeah,
yeah. So you just felt like he was.
Yeah, and I always have. I've been there, and I know that feeling. Yeah. So I should have just listened to my gut, and I didn't, and. Eventually, stuff started unraveling more, and I found out that there was a mom and her daughter involved, and he had promised that little girl that she would not only be in the series, that she would play little Taylor, but that she would meet Taylor. And eventually, after a year, I went to the Eras tour, and I met up with that mom. And I hugged her and I hugged her child. And I was just like, I'm so sorry.
So they were scammed by this creep as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever report him? Like, is there anything?
He disappeared.
Okay. So
he disappeared. It was so odd. His entire Instagram was about Taylor Swift. I will never know his true motive, but he was obsessed with Taylor.
So you think he was probably trying to use you to get to her and thought if he could pretend to be your manager?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, now I feel very mom to you, but I hope you've forgiven yourself because,
I haven't.
Because what you went through as a child, that set you up, like it wasn't your fault. If you've been groomed before in a situation, especially a sexual situation, it's hard to unlearn that. That's not your fault.
And he emulated that person. So it's just,
What's the hardest part? Tell me, what's the hardest part to disconnect, to forgive yourself, to go, I didn't do anything. Yes, I could have seen these red flags when he started talking to me sexually or, which unfortunately in our business happens less, but it still happens, for a lot of women and men. But what is it that's hard to forgive? Like, what is it for you hard to see that it wasn't your fault? You just feel what?
I think it's because that inner child that's deep down, it just comes to the surface. And when you have when you have issues that you haven't resolved, that little inner child is always going to come up.
Yeah.
And I think that I just need to I just need to talk to that inner child and just tell them it's okay, you
Yeah.
know, and just guide. I don't know. I really don't. That's why I'm in therapy. I am.
Yes. It's hard. It's hard to talk to your inner child. It's
Yeah.
like sad.
I've been in therapy a lot for this issue, you know, just
Yeah.
in general. So
Look, I wanted to have you on. You seem like, just the correspondence we've had, you live this very tortured life, you know, where it's like you have this beautiful gift, you're talented aside from what you look like, but it's also like this curse, and it's hard to figure out how to navigate it, you know? So the calendar video, and by the way, thank you for sharing that. It was the first time you've ever told that full story.
Yeah.
The calendar video you take down, that shifts things for people to now start seeing you more as this like attention seeker,
they put me in a
liar.
box.
Okay.
They put me in that box, and I've never been able to come out of it.
Okay. Do you want to come out of it?
I do. I do. I want to come out of that box because what I did, I know was wrong, but I never had someone reach out to me privately and say, "Hey, Ashley, you should probably take that down." You know, it was just immediate attack.
Yeah.
Immediate.
Yeah.
It was just like, "Oh my God, she's crazy. She's crazy. She's delusional. She thinks that she's going to meet Taylor, and that's never going to happen for her."
Did you ever do a video explaining to your fans this story?
No, it was
This is the first time.
It hurt
Wow.
me so much
Wow.
that I couldn't, and I think that's another reason why they, you know, they just created their own narrative because I haven't been able to speak on it.
Yeah. So after that, did you stop doing all Taylor content for a while?
For a little bit,
Did
I
you?
disappeared. I
Okay.
felt like my life was just crumbling. I felt like I went through a period of just needing to go on medication just
Sure.
because like I felt like my world was over. You know, the amount of just the attacks were just one after another, and it just wasn't stopping. I mean, I was being called every name in the book, and I didn't know it was wrong what I did at the time. And, you know, we grow. I felt like
Yeah.
I did retaliate. I did, you know, when I was younger, I did retaliate.
In what way? What do you
When
mean?
someone said something mean to
Oh,
me.
sure. You'd say
I'd
something mean back.
retaliate. You know, I would be like sarcastic. I was a sarcastic jackass at some point because I was just like, I was so done with it. But I've grown and I've realized you can't fight fire with fire. So anytime I get negative comments now, it's nothing like that.
Well, I have a theory about social media too, especially TikTok. You know, okay, here's my conspiracy hat. People are like, but you know, it is Chinese owned, you know, and in China, they have a completely different version, which like is only for 40 minutes a day for children that educates them. They don't see any of the trash, the political stuff, all the stuff that they feed our country. I love TikTok. It's an amazing marketing tool. It's built many careers. It's made many people in the US millionaires. All that is good. But and it's not just TikTok, it's Instagram, but to a different level. The more negative it is, the more engagement it gets. They want us to be fighting. They want us to be
Absolutely.
trolling because that just gets clicks, it gets views, and it
Absolutely.
makes them $1 billion. So it is in their best interest to keep the negativity going. It just is. So that's why it's so dangerous for kids. And even a
Right.
young woman like yourself that's had this traumatic past, when you see it, you think these people who don't even have a true icon of what they look like are like have meaning when these people are idiots in their basement. If that's even them, or is it a bot that's created by China that just they see that you're getting 100,000
A lot of
engagements.
them are bots,
So let's bot it, make it to even more kids and make even more money. You know, you don't know what their algorithm's really like. Okay, so when did you, now over the years, you've kind of dipped back in the water. I mean, you did a whole video debunking your plastic, like that you've never had plastic surgery. I thought that was great. You actually had a plastic surgeon and he goes, you've never had anything done except for like Botox. And I think you had a rhinoplasty filler. Okay.
I've never had a rhinoplasty.
You've never had a rhino. Okay. Nix that. Sorry, that was me made up. Okay, you'd only had what? Botox. He said, he like went through your face. He's like, she did not have like cheek implants. She did not have all these things. Okay, I thought that was
never had plastic surgery.
why did you feel the need to do that video? Just because the hate was so strong, you wanted to try to disprove?
I think my inner voice was just telling me enough is enough. Like when you're being picked apart like that, one thing after another, it's just, it got to a point where I was like, it needs to stop. And it only made it worse. it didn't make a difference.
That's where, like you're saying, you've learned you can't fight fire with fire.
Right.
That's why when I said to you, it's almost like now I love the hate. Like, I'm like, oh my God, the hate fuels the success. Like, I'm
It
like,
really
the
does.
more people hate me, the more, the better I'll do.
Does.
It does. And you almost like, I don't even respond. I don't even now respond to the good stuff really for the most part.
I don't read the comments. Sometimes when I first post, I just post and ghost. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
But I also want to engage, with my followers.
The people
because
that
I
do
want
love
them-
you and support you.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump to the Grammy incident because that's something else you have never talked about, where the Grammys actually invited you a couple of years ago and then took the invitation back, right? But then somehow people felt like you had done something.
Yeah. So the Grammys didn't invite me.
Okay.
So I had a company reach out, and I won't name them, and they were a credible company, blue check mark, 13 million followers.
Okay.
I was like, okay, cool.
All right. All right. Oh.
Yeah,
okay,
they slid into my DMs.
Okay,
and they were
Lay's
just
potato
like,
chips. What are we doing? Just kidding. It's not Lay's, but I'm just kidding. It's legit like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
they slid into my DMs and they said, hey, let's get on the phone. We have a great opportunity for you. Those exact words. And I was like, okay, cool. Just let's get on the phone. And I got on the phone with an assistant within that company. And she said, so how would you like to partner with the Grammys? I was just like, whoa, that's really big. Can you tell me more? And she was like, well, we have a ticket for you. And I was like, oh, okay. I live in Utah. I don't live in LA. And she was just like, oh, that's perfectly fine. This would just be considered, and I quote, a humble brag. That's what she said.
Okay, so they wanted to bring you.
She called it a humble brag.
They wanted to bring you as their guest as a humble brag.
So there were multiple people within this partnership.
Okay.
So they told me, they said, it's not just you. There are other content creators who will be partnering with the Grammys.
Okay.
And we need deliverables from you. We need you to get on the red carpet. We need you to just dress, to impress and make content. And I was just like, okay, that would be really great. I went back and forth. I said, hey, can you go ahead and cover my flight? Can you cover my hotel? Can you, do any of that? And they were just like, no, it's just almost like we're gifting you something. And I was like, oh, so kind of like when you get gifted something and they want just deliverables in exchange.
Yes,
but I
correct.
had to get myself there. And so they said, nope, we can't cover anything. We can't promise anything, but we'll look into it. So about a week passed and I was just like, okay, well, I'd like to go ahead and get pre-arrangements. I need a caregiver. I'd like for my husband to walk with me on the red carpet.
Yeah.
And they were like, still can't pay. I'm just like, okay, you know what? It would be a really fun experience. Let's just, I'll pay my way. And so I did that. And they were like, last minute, they said, your husband cannot walk with you on the red carpet. And I was like, that's really interesting. So I was like, that was a red flag for me. I was like, my own husband can't walk with me, not a +1.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, you can't have a +1. We need to have someone from our camp walk you. And I was like, okay. So everything was great. We just exchanged emails, got on the phone. Right before I boarded my plane, they sent me an email and said, hey, well, before I boarded my plane, they said, before you can even arrive for the Grammys, you need to make a video stating that you are partnering with the Grammys. They said January 31st, it needed to be posted. I posted it right before midnight. I'll never forget that night. I had my cat with me in the kitchen.
Yes.
And I was like, guys, super excited. I'm partnering with the Grammys. Let's go. And they loved it. They commented and they said, can't wait to have you on the red carpet. They reposted me on their own YouTube channel.
Okay.
Over 1 million subscribers.
Okay. All right.
And I was like, cool, this is really legit. Wow. And everybody was like, this is incredible. Everybody was like, wow, they reposted you.
Yeah,
it's happening
that seems
for
amazing.
you.
Yeah.
And it was just a cool experience. And they emailed me the morning before I got on my plane. They said, we're so happy to have you. Can't wait to have you on the red carpet. So sad your cat can't come. That's what they said.
Okay.
I was like, okay. I was taxiing, landed in LAX taxiing, and I received a text message from the CEO. They said, call me right now. Just a bunch of texts, call me right now. And I'm like, okay. I called her immediately. I got on the phone and she was just like, plans have changed. And she was very it was just very panicky, a lot of panic in her voice. And she's like, plans have changed. you don't have a ticket. You don't have a ticket at all. And I was just like, what? I was caught off guard. I was like, what do you mean I don't have a ticket? Like, and she was just like, you're not going to the Grammys. And I'm like, can you explain why? Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be some behind the scenes going on. And she's just like, just get over it at this point. She was just like, it's Hollywood. You don't have a ticket anymore. Okay. You need to just go back home. And I was like, okay. But I would just like an explanation. And she said, you don't need an explanation. I don't have to give you an explanation. Everybody was pulled from the red carpet. And I was like, so everyone that was partnering with the Grammys that made their video as well was pulled from the carpet. And I was like, oh, okay. So we were all pulled. No, just me. Just me.
Wow.
So I was devastated.
So these other content creators that you had seen them repost went to the Grammys.
Walked the red carpet and everything.
Wow.
Taylor she wasn't even set to show up. It was like they found out that she was going to arrive like the day before or even the day of.
And do you think that's why they didn't want you there, because Taylor was going to be there?
In my opinion, and I have not spoken about this, I think because there's this whole narrative that everyone is talking about, that Taylor's team got wind that I was going and they revoked my ticket. That didn't happen because I reached out to the CEO, Harvey Jr. of the Academy.
Okay.
And I told him what had happened, and he wasn't even aware of it. He wasn't even aware of it at all. So I researched the company. They do a lot of press. So in my opinion, I think they were trying to pull a publicity stunt. I really do. I think they were trying to get me on the red carpet, cause commotion. So in my mind, I believe everything happens for a reason in this lifetime. Mm-hmm. So I think it was a good thing that I was not invited to the Grammys, or that I wasn't going to walk the red carpet, because they could have pulled a publicity stunt and it could have just anything could have happened, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I walk if I walk on the street with red lipstick, sequins, like out in New York City, I've done that before, just going to a party.
Sure.
Oh my gosh.
You're mobbed.
You just mobbed. Yes. So I couldn't imagine what would have happened if I would have went on the red carpet.
Have you been worried I mean, I know you've had death threats, but I mean, have you been worried for your own safety? I mean, Taylor Swift, this woman, goes around with full-time security detail. I mean, has to, right? I mean, she's the biggest star in the world. Are you personally, have you had anyone come up weird, show up to your house? I mean, are you worried about your safety?
No, not at all, because what people see, I guess their perception of me is different than what I see. So if I go to a party, say I went to a party here in LA recently, got all dolled up, did red lip, everything that I usually do for a party. And it was perfectly fine. Like, it was just like, no.
Nobody was like, people probably said, oh,
yeah,
hey, you look like Taylor, but they weren't.
Wow. I'd pass by them, I'd put on some heels. They're like, whoa, like that's Taylor. And I'm just like, no, but a lot of people just leave you alone here. So it's a little bit different in LA.
Yeah. They're not a celebrity.
But no, because I'm like, I have brown eyes. There's a lot of differences.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is that I don't see what they see. Like, I don't wake up in the morning and say, oh my God, I look like Taylor. No.
Yeah.
I don't.
All right. Well, now that we're on the Swifties, let's talk about the Swifties for a second. Okay. Overall, I guess they haven't been very supportive to you, right? I mean, they've been more negative, or do you think it's like split?
I have a ton of Swiftie friends, beautiful Swiftie friends, that are on, I guess there's two sides to this community of Swifties. So I try to just stay on the positive side. And so my friends that I have who are Swifties, they're very supportive of me. They're very kind. They're always standing up for me. They're telling other Swifties, like, hey, like, let's just take it down a notch.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are two sides, and I've seen firsthand both sides.
Have you heard from Taylor Swift's actual people, or Taylor herself?
No. Well, I mean, she commented on my video, but no, I've never gotten a message like in my. I've never received an email or anything from her team.
The fact that she even commented on your video, that I would feel like I'd made it. What did she say?
I don't have it like exactly, but it was something like my mom just saw this and said that she looks like you. Something like that, yeah.
So Taylor said, my mom saw this and said, you look like me or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that must have felt amazing.
Yeah, it was during the Midnight's Mayhem with me. And I was just during that time last year, I was immersed into this community. I loved it. I loved the fun, just having fun, doing Easter eggs, staying up till midnight, duetting Taylor, having fun with, the tracks, and she would tell us each track. And I find it so funny is that the video that I duetted her on, I wasn't even prepared. Like my husband yelled, he was like, hey, she just posted, like you should probably duet her, because I was doing it every night. And I got out of the shower, my hair was soaking wet. I had my glasses on, and I just duetted her, and that was the video
that she commented on.
I was like, out of all of my videos.
Like, I feel like you're going to be contacted by them. Like, you know what I mean? She's such a kind person and kind of funny and interesting. I could see her hosting like a lookalike Taylor contest on stage with like you and 3 other people nationwide. Or like doing a Taylor clone video. There
are so many Taylor lookalikes. And I feel like in my mind, a lot of women, who have blonde hair, who have bangs, and just pop on a red lip, they're mistaken for Taylor. Even my hairdresser, oh my God, I love her. She's a Taylor lookalike. And she's like, I've been getting it so much. And I'm like, yeah, I can see it with the bangs and, I've had bangs since I was a child. I have pictures to like share. I really do.
Is that your ultimate goal? Like, is your dream that Taylor and her team call and you're like, her body double in some film like coming up, like you're the stunt woman?
It's not my dream. It would be a really amazing, wonderful, unique experience, but it's my dream is to be an actor, and bring, these characters to life on screen. The Taylor Swift stuff is it's fun.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just fun, and it's a side gig.
Look, I said this to you. I really wonder if these Swifties understand that in Las Vegas, there is a whole group of performers that do nothing but impersonate famous people. Like, they've been doing it for 50 years, since Elvis, since Sonny and Cher impersonators for 10,000 years. Hello, we have drag queens that impersonate. Do you think these Swifties that hate on you do not understand that people make an entire living sometimes by impersonating other people and you're not doing anything wrong?
They do. I think they do. I know that they understand the cosplay. I know they understand dressing up in Vegas, but I think I can see it from their point of view. I've matured over the past few years, and I can put myself in their shoes. No matter what they say, I can put myself in their shoes and say, hey, okay, take a step back. Why they're so angry is because those in Vegas can take off their outfit. They can take off their costume. For me, they're just like, you wear your costume every day. And I'm like, I just have bangs. That's it. I get it. I get it more when I don't wear makeup. I really do. And and when I put on the makeup, I'm just like, I don't see it. I don't. So, my husband's seen it a little bit without the makeup. He's just like, whoa. Like, he saw the Miss Americana documentary, and where she wasn't wearing makeup, he was like, I'm like, it's just a side profile sometimes.
It's the eyes. You guys have the same, very similar. I know you have different eye color.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just, I think the size of the eyes or something. It's the whole upper face. I can see it.
Small eyes. I'm very self-conscious about them.
Really? Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
So you think that's what drives these Swifties so
Yes.
crazy, is like, this is who you really are. You can't come out of the makeup, the costume. You can't.
Unless I put a wig on, maybe add extensions. But then again, all content creators have extensions.
Oh,
So
God,
it's
every
just
single one. Yeah.
I think sometimes I try to understand where they're coming from when they're saying, oh my gosh, you cut your hair just like Taylor. So I chop my hair off. I leave it short. Oh my gosh, you're trying so hard to be Taylor. You just styled your hair like her. I pop in extensions. I pop in my extensions, and they say, oh my gosh, you're growing your hair out. just like Taylor. And it's no matter what I do with my hair, I put it in a ponytail and they say, oh my gosh, Taylor wore her hair in a ponytail. So you're copying Taylor.
Okay, so where are you at with it? Because, like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like people could look at this two ways. One, it's almost like you just lean in, become a full-time impersonator. I would imagine, I mean, you already said, right? People book you for, they want you to book you for.
Yeah, I have an agent out in New York City. And, you know, I get booked. I did a little girls camp, an all girls camp, and that was so fun. I wore the thing with that is I actually had a costume.
Sure, and, like you take one of her outfits.
I take one of her outfits,
sure.
her red from her red era, and I wore the black sequin shorts. I did the hat. I wore the red heart sunglasses, and that's that. That's her exact look. But like me and like a gray top and leggings, like I have worn this on my TikTok.
Sure.
And I've been told, oh my gosh, you just try so hard to be like Taylor. And I'm like, this is just a comfy outfit. So for me, there are two different sides, impersonator and Ashley.
And okay, but where are you at with it? Like, do you feel like you're comfortable enough to like fully lean into just becoming the impersonator, like doing I would imagine birthday parties. Like, yeah. I mean, I would imagine you could make a ton of money. Like, but where are you mentally with it? Because it seems like you're very conflicted.
So for me, I think it's online that's conflicted. Myself, okay. I can separate me from the Taylor lookalike impersonator because anyone can put on makeup and make themselves look like somebody else.
Sure.
You know, anyone can contour their face to look like somebody else. For me, I just wear some bronzer.
Yeah.
You know, and people are just like, oh my gosh, your face looks just like Taylor. And I'm like, I think it's my face shape. And I don't think we have the same face shape. I don't. I absolutely don't. I can tell you, like,
you've studied
all
it.
Day long.
You've studied. Okay.
She has a completely different face shape. She
sure.
has a completely different nose. I mean, people will pick me apart and say, oh, your eyes are different. Your nose is different. But then they say, why do you have to try so hard to be Taylor? And I'm just like, I think they are the ones who are conflicted. Yeah. They are. They can't separate Ashley from Taylor.
I mean, look, I love it. If I were you, I would lean in. I would do a Vegas show where I bring up all her ex-boyfriends that she's like impersonators that she's written songs about. I'd bring them all out. Like I mean, you have this gift. Like it is kind of interesting, but you know, I don't know. What does your agent say? Is your agent like keep doing these Taylor impersonator gigs, or is your agent like try to get away from that and focus on acting?
No, I mean, he thinks it's amazing.
Yes, I do too. I'm like lean fully in, girl.
I mean, because nowadays you can't just have one job
totally
in order to, you know, keep a roof over your head with, you know, inflation and everything going on.
Yeah, and living in LA. Yeah,
and living in LA.
You need like 20 grand a month here to live.
You need 9 different, like I have 2 social media agents. I do brand deals. I do, you know, videos. I have my acting agent, so I do that. And then I have my acting agent is in New York City and LA. So for the Taylor Swift agent, it's called entertainment. So it's not a lookalike agency, it's entertainment. So, I mean, if somebody wants to book, you know, someone who can go and lip sync Taylor Swift songs, I'm absolutely there. And I've been conflicted in the past with that.
You have.
Mainly because of what happened with that situation with the calendar. I backed off quite a bit. And I told myself, I'm not going to do that. And then I started thinking, hey, you know, I don't want to monetize off of Taylor's looks. I don't want to monetize off of, you know, doing all that stuff. I want to be a nice person. And I mean, I came to a realization that it's not about being nice. It's just, hey, you're just having fun, you know?
Yeah. You are very way too kind. I would completely capitalize off of all the reality show people. So if you ever need any advice, yes, it only helps their brand. She's probably, look at the NFL. Have you watched the NFL on Sunday? The
I
NFL,
don't watch football.
one of the greatest brands of all time, does, when she goes to these games, does nothing but use her name and likeness and brand every second they can. And this is the NFL that needs no advertising. Yes, of course they do. And they're making a fortune of trying to get young children to now become fans of the NFL. If you need me to give you a pep talk, I will. But girl, I would be out there. I would turn my money flow on. Fuck these haters. They don't pay your goddamn bills. They wish they looked like you. They will come to your show in Vegas and lean into the gifts that God has given you. Yes. No, people have made, do you know how much money people have made off Elvis?
I'm
Spears?
friends with one of the head people over at Legends. I am. He's just like, if you could ever sing, come over here. And I'm just like, I don't want.
Get yourself in a fun drag show where
But
they're
then
doing.
again, in acting, they want you to have multiple different, abilities.
Yeah.
So they're just like, can you dance? Can you sing? Can you do? So, it could just be a hobby, on the side.
You have to do what you're comfortable with, but I just want to tell you, like, I observe you and I'm like, there's endless money to be made. Like, I would have the biggest, impersonator Vegas show there was, because she's the hottest thing in the world. You ought to get a Beyonce lookalike. I know one actually in DC.
Really?
Fantastic trans woman. You two could be like dueling in Vegas. You would make a fortune. I'll be your manager if you want. I'm happy to negotiate for you. Fuck yeah, screw these people. Now, the part that people hate on you though, and I do think this is, again, I would lean into it if I were you, but you did get a cat that like looks like her cat, right? Was that on purpose?
Does not look anything like her cat.
All right. Do people say that though?
They do. And then so many are just like, that cat looks nothing like her cat. And I'm like, thank you. My cat is just white and black and gray. And it's not named Meredith Grey. It's named Mark Sloan.
Talk to me about, okay, so you kind of play in this world where I agree, you got to wear multiple hats. How did Vic the YouTuber, the biggest thing that happened in the past year is you teamed up with Vic the YouTuber over here at the Grove, another genius thing. I was very upset that I didn't think about this for the Sarah Fraser show, because I'm going to hire you to do some promos for me. I love you. I want you to stand just in front of a green screen and go, I listen to the Sarah Fraser show. I absolutely love it. I don't want you to say who you are. I just want you to, I want you to look exactly like Taylor and say that your favorite podcast is TSFS. But anyway, I was very jealous. I didn't think of this. But what happened? YouTuber Vic approaches you and he says, I want to do this stunt where we go to the Grove and you kind of walk out of a store looking like Taylor, and we're going to see how this crowd ensues, right? Or how did it happen?
I'm so happy I actually get to speak on this. So Vic reached out to me far in advance, reached out to me via Instagram. I was like, I have managers to do this for me. So I was just like, eventually, weeks passed, I was like, please reach out to my manager. They'll go ahead and handle everything else. And it was just a collaboration. He reached out to my manager out in New York City, went ahead and CC'd my social media manager. They worked together. They did all of the contract, all the behind the scenes, and I just got picked up. I showed up for a gig.
Wow. Okay, so it was a paid gig. Vic paid you.
It was just a
Good
collaboration, and they said it was just going to be just an experiment. You're just going to walk around and see what reactions you get. That was their ultimate goal.
No, that did look like it started okay. And then was there a moment where you were like, oh, these people were like,
that one up.
Okay, talk to me.
Because I've been accused multiple times within the past week that I called paparazzi. I did not call paparazzi. I didn't call paparazzi at all. I didn't hire security guards. That was all on Vic's team.
Okay,
I had no idea. I was like, okay. But as far as everything that happened behind the scenes, it wasn't as chaotic as they portrayed it to be. People edit, cut videos, do all kinds of stuff.
Sure.
It wasn't that chaotic. it was chaotic once the crowd started just surrounding me and the security guards of the actual venue, Disneyland. They didn't know what was happening. So they escorted us and helped us to safety because everybody just started crowding. So it was just like we knew what was going on. Like some of the people around us were just like, oh my God, yes, everybody's just, going crazy in a crowd. Let's go ahead and just follow.
Yeah.
Like a sheep.
Right. Right.
Ultimately, that's what happens out in public. So I did an experiment where I had the sunglasses on, had the red lip on, I had a hat, and I just had jeans and a t-shirt, right?
Yep.
This was the exact same outfit that I wore when I got quote unquote mobbed by a bunch of people thinking it was Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
Because I had bodyguards.
Yeah.
I went in, I said, you know what we need to do? We just need to experiment, see what would happen if quote unquote Taylor
Yeah.
was walking around with a friend dressed the exact same way. Not one person came up to me. Not one. So it goes to show you that if you're walking around with a ton of bodyguards,
Right. Everybody thinks you're somebody.
to
Yeah,
get
sure.
mobbed. People are going to be like, whoa, that's a celebrity. I don't know you, but everybody else knows you. So we're going to follow. That was,
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but this happened at the Grove, right? Here in
in
Los
different
Angeles.
areas. We went to different.
Different parts of the Grove, different
Parts,
areas, right?
yeah.
Which has a big shopping area. So at some point, the Grove security doesn't know you guys are doing this and they get involved. I mean, were they furious with you or Vic when they figured out?
Disneyland was not. However, I don't know. I don't remember who it was. I think it might have been a member of their team. Vic's team was pretending to be paparazzi.
Okay.
They were pretending to be paparazzi and yelling, Taylor, Taylor, Taylor. So everybody started following me. So it was just like one person after another.
They
just
fed it. Yeah.
one after another. And I looked around and I started to be like, okay, well, this is getting a little busy. I'm going to just go into any of these stores and just walk around and try to stay out of sight. And they all followed. They all followed into a store, and I went into Nordstrom, which was not a good idea. Not a good idea. So we walked down the perfume, like where there were perfume bottles, and I just like, everybody just came from different angles. It was just like people just coming down here. And then that's when the security guard was just like, you're creating a scene, get out. And he shoved me. I would say it was a very traumatic experience. It was like he
Wow.
shoved me. He like cursed. He was like, get out. And at that point I was like, ooh.
Okay. Did you and Vic, have you guys talked after? Did Vic post the video on his YouTube?
He did, but it kind of just, it fizzled out. I mean, there's really not much to it.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the Swifties kind of just hopped in the comments and they were just like saying not so, just, mean things. And that's about it. Didn't really go anywhere.
Did Vic say, "Oh, this went like as I hoped," or "I'm sorry, I apologize," or
Nope. He was just like,
"This is what it is."
Yeah.
Okay.
just a business thing.
Yeah, just a business. And
Yeah.
so when you do things like that, like I can see from the Swifties' point of view things like that where people are going to give you backlash, right? Because you're participating in it. So that was pretty recent, this year.
Yeah.
Do you feel stronger about it? And like, were you as hurt? Did you expect the backlash this time?
I did. I expected it.
Okay.
Absolutely. I didn't entice it. I wouldn't say I enticed it. I kind of just started feeling like I needed to defend myself constantly. And that's when I just told myself, Ashley, stop. Like, no matter what, they're going to create their own narrative, such as, oh my gosh, did you hear, guys? She called paparazzi. I didn't, though. So it's just like, no matter what, what's right, what's wrong.
Absolutely.
You can't control what they're gonna say.
What's the biggest thing you would like to, I guess, say to people? I think you're so smart, right? Like, the more you explain, You know, the less people get it, really. You know, I love I'm very drawn to personalities that just this is who they are, and they keep putting it out there, and then they have these haters, but they have these diehard fans.
Yeah.
But if you you have this opportunity, right? We wanted for you to be as transparent as possible. Like, what do you want people to know about you? That you think that they don't?
I don't. That's such a difficult question because no matter what I say, they're just not gonna care ultimately. But don't read everything don't believe everything you see on the internet. That's really all that I can say, is that don't believe everything you see, even if it's a video. I mean, I have videos out there where people have cut and edited and made me look like someone I'm not. And just, I mean, I feel that anyone in this world should have the opportunity to be misunderstood. I mean, that's just the way I think now. And, you know, I don't really want to say if you don't like my content, don't watch it. But yeah. And it's going to anger some people, but I'm me. Like right now, sitting here with you, I'm not a Taylor lookalike. I'm Ashley. Just because I wear makeup doesn't mean that I'm putting on a costume every day.
Yeah.
Because I feel like anybody can wear makeup, right?
Anybody, yes.
I mean, Marilyn Monroe rocked that red lip. Like, rocked it.
Yeah. There's another person I'm sure you could easily look like. Is Marilyn Monroe. You just have that beautiful, oh my God, yeah. If you had a different wig, like you don't have a wig on, but you put a wig on. Yeah, I could see that. You just have those like great blonde, features. You'd be gorgeous. But, you're a person. I think you said before we started, that people's words like hurt, right? I mean, it does. I think it has really hurt you over the years. I mean, it seems like you're getting to a different place with it. Like you're more confident in who you are. And
absolutely.
And you're realizing
no
that no
matter what they say, it's just... it's going to roll off your back, but it's also going to hurt. It's going to sting, no matter what they say. Those words do hurt.
Yeah.
They do.
What is Ashley like as a mom, as a friend, as a wife, partner? What are you doing when you're not consumed in this world?
Oh my God, I'm an introvert.
Oh, yeah?
I'm considered an introverted extrovert. That's what I'm called. When you see me online, you see 5% of my life. It's just a highlight reel. It's not something that I'm doing constantly. If I showed my everyday life, it would be very chaotic. It would be like a mom getting their kids ready for school, helping them with their homework, but I'm very to myself. I watch Netflix. I do a lot of just Netflix and chill.
What do you Netflix watching?
Oh my gosh. I'm constantly on Grey's Anatomy. I've watched Grey's Anatomy. I did want to touch on that because a lot of people think that I like Grey's Anatomy because Taylor likes it. But I started watching Grey's Anatomy before I even knew who Taylor was. Like March 27th of 2005 was the day that changed my life. It really did. Like
I'm a
huge Grey's Anatomy fan.
Okay.
So I'm constantly having that in the background and just, doing other things, cleaning the house. But right now I'm on Once Upon a Time. I love Once Upon a Time.
You must be a very popular mom at your kids' school. Or the kids must be like, Mommy, everybody in school wants you to come in. You look like Taylor. Are you a popular mom? No one's demanding that? Okay.
No, not at all. My kids, they don't even see me on social media. They don't.
Oh.
I keep my kids off of social media.
Okay.
They know I do like the fun lookalike gigs. Like I asked my son the other day when I saw that, I was just like, hey, come over here. And I asked both of my kids separately. And I was like, hey, what do you think of mommy? Like when she does like dress up, I just call it dress up. And he was just like, well, you're beautiful. Aww. And I was like, oh, thank you. And he was just like, I think it's fun. And I think that you are Ashley. And I was just like, no, I mean like when, for example, when I took them to the Eras tour, we all dressed up as a family. Oh, I got so much hate for that. I got so much hate for going all dressed up, like in sync with the Junior Jewels.
Oh,
that she wears for the
yeah.
You Belong With Me
Yeah.
music video. And I got a lot of hate for that because I didn't dress up enough. I didn't dress up enough, but I wanted to be comfy with my kiddos.
So after everyone's hated you all these years for dressing up like her, then you go to the Eras tour where everybody is dressed like her, P.S., and you didn't do it enough.
I didn't do it enough.
That should prove to you that you don't care at all what people think.
I didn't do it enough. I didn't wear the sequins like everybody else did. I did the second time, though. I did the second time I went to her show. But I was like, no, but what about like dressing up, you know, like we went to the Eras tour. And he was like, oh, well, you know, you look like Taylor Swift, but you're my mom and you're Ashley. And I was like, thank you. I mean, it's just fun.
The best thing that they could
love
say.
it.
My last question, although anything that you want to talk about, I'm loving our interview. But what do you have coming up? Like, where can people find you? Do you have you have any acting gigs coming up? You live out here in California, which I love. I'm so excited to see where your career goes. Anything that you have that we'll be able to see you on?
I am going to be in a movie.
She's booked a movie, y'all. Yay.
I am in a movie. I'm in a short film. But yeah, the movie's not going to come out until 2025.
Okay.
I will keep everyone posted on it. I'm sure I'll post like here and there. With all the strike stuff going on, I've been called a scab when I'm not even a part of the union.
Okay.
I'm not a part of the union. So you can only be labeled a scab if you're part of the union and you're doing struck work. So I've just been kind of like laying low, you know,
Smart
just a little
idea.
bit. But I'm doing work that's not struck. There's nothing.
No
that's,
SAG. Sure.
Nothing SAG related.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have an agent now for acting.
Thank God.
I just signed with them, so that's super exciting.
And an agent's such a great barrier for anybody
Yes.
that's coming into your life. It's such a good thing to run it through your agent.
Yep, they
pros.
pitch me on their end, and yeah.
Well, Ashley Leachin, I'm honored that you are here. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable and sharing your past. I hope you'll share even more of your childhood. You know, I always find every guest that I have on in my own life, sharing some of the darkest moments of our lives help so many people because unfortunately, so many of us have been through it.
I've tried, but with the Taylor lookalike stuff, I just get pegged as a trauma dumper. I've tried to talk about my childhood, my past, and they said, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to share your trauma because you're utilizing Taylor's image. That's what they're saying, is that I'm utilizing her image to get my story out there. And I'm just like, I'm just trying to help other children to let them know, hey, if you're going through this, you're not alone. If this is happening in your life, don't think you're crazy. Get some help.
Oh my God,
So-
you got to just keep pushing. Are
Yeah.
you
Eventually, my goal, and I've already told my agent, is that I want to bring it to life on screen eventually. I would love to share my story because it's so in depth that it's just, you're a child and you're being held in captivity. Like, that's not a childhood. So you just need to just share that and let people know, like, hey, I am the way I am today because of all of the trials and tribulations, but you don't have to go through that in order to be this strong. I always call myself a strong, independent woman who don't need no man. That's just what
Thank God you found a good man. But yeah, I mean, people need to hear that side of the story. And God, hopefully you just don't even read any of the comments because that's your story to tell and not theirs. And it sounds like, I don't know, just tell me to shut up. But it sounds like, were you like part of a religious sect or something? Was there like...
No.
Oh, okay.
No. I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
I am nowhere near...
Okay. No, I just wondered when you say like kind of held you hostage, I was like, is this like a religious group where you couldn't like leave or...
Yeah, no, they were just, they were people that just love to brainwash children. And it's in a nutshell, like my father was charged with 5 counts of lewd and lascivious conduct. And I lived under that roof.
This is your adopted father.
My adopted father.
And how many did they adopt other children? Was there like
they had
several?
2 of their own already. Yeah.
And they were allowed to fucking adopt children in their state and abuse them.
Yeah.
And then, but he's dead.
They're both. Yep,
They're both dead.
They're both gone. Finally.
Oh my God. I mean, yeah,
Finally.
like life
Yeah.
to you. Thank God. I know.
I just spoke with the detective after 20 years who arrested him
Mm.
that night when I was 10 years old. And he was just like, he couldn't believe it. He was like, I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
He said, I'm so sorry they put you back with him.
Mm.
But he took the easy way out. So, but
We all know what you're referring to, which,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
yeah.
But, oh my God, how brave of you. Yeah, you've lived a lifetime. What was it like? It must have been emotional to talk to that detective after all
It
these
was
years.
very, yeah, absolutely. And he gave me some closure. He did. He was just like, I remember, because when I reached out to him, he was like,
I'll get
I'll
emotional.
never
I'm getting
forget
emotional
you.
for you. I feel like, so hard
like,
for a
I'll
child to
never-
go through that. Oh,
He's like, I'll never forget you and your sister. He's like, I'll never forget you. When I interviewed your sister, when you did that deposition, I knew you lied for a reason. He's like, you wanted a family and you wanted to protect them. You didn't want to go back into the system, but yeah.
my God. So you and your sister, you ended up going back into the system after he was arrested?
No, my sister did. My sister did. And then they took me away for a little bit, but he took the easy way out. He didn't allow it to go to trial. He put it in the hands of the judge.
Okay, so the judge sentenced him.
To probation.
Oh,
That's
you're
it.
kidding.
To 3 years probation. The same judge.
Oh, I thought you were
that-
going with, I thought he killed himself. Like, I thought.
No,
we were,
no,
like, getting-
no, no,
okay.
no.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
And I'm just now like reading court dockets. It's so intense. I'm just now reading
And they
everything.
placed you back?
They put me back in that home. They
Oh my
put me
God.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Wow.
And then eventually, because it wasn't happening to me, it was happening to my sister. Eventually, I realized what he was doing. He was grooming me, and it led up to the night that I jumped out my window and I left.
Wow.
I was 16 years old.
On your own. And both of them died. They
Both of them-
adopted.
they finally died.
Were they old? Like, or
My-
like, what happened? I mean, that's like,
Old.
okay, I don't want to
old.
say.
They were old when they adopted us. They were like in their 50s. Like 50s going
But they
into
still only
60s.
died in their 60s. That's not like that old.
No, they
that's
were
like
80.
karma.
They're 80.
Oh, they were
They're
80. They
in
were
their
80
80s when they died. Oh no, when Taylor talks about karma is real.
Isn't it?
Because when I found out how my adopted father died, it was just karma spelled out.
Well, and you as an empath, I mean, I'm not really an empath, but I'm somewhat intuitive. And I've seen it happen over and over and over. Like, people don't get it. I've seen karma work. Now, it takes years, at least
does.
in my experience, most of the time. So these awful things happen, or you come across this terrible person in your life and you're like, oh my God, I'm so glad to be away from them. Like, karma will get them. And then it's like years. Like, they go on to con other people. It takes like a very long time. And then all of a sudden, you get like this phone call and it's like, oh my God, like it really is karmic.
Yeah.
So they got what they deserved.
They did. They did. And nothing that they did to me will ever define who I am.
No,
So,
absolutely not. And you have to tell that story someday when you're fully ready, because it will help
Yeah.
so many people, because it's just what kids have to go through is just
my old high school
unbelievable.
friends, I still talk to quite a few of them, and they're just like, I can't believe you didn't say anything.
Yeah.
You just went to school. You're a very quiet person. Like, they're just like, you're very dark and just quiet
Well,
into
it's
yourself.
so hard to say things that when you're a kid and you're like a teenager, you're going through the hardest time of your life, arguably.
And I didn't I
you-
loved Hannah Montana. That was like my show and my safe place, because I would watch the show.
Yeah.
And in my mind, I would watch Billy Ray Cyrus and see how loving he was to Miley on that show. And just, I would look at that relationship, and then I would look at my father's relationship with me. And I would be like, is he supposed to be doing this?
Yeah.
Like, is he really supposed to be doing this to me? Like,
Yeah.
or is it supposed to be? And that was like my safe spot. So, yeah. So I like my kids love Hannah Montana right now. So we've been watching it. So I think it's just been bringing up a lot of memories.
Oh my God. Well, look, I hope you give yourself a ton of credit. You are amazing and brave and so talented. And I hope you just keep going and putting yourself out there. And I really feel like, I do think when, you're going to have haters that listen to this, but I really hope when they tune in, they see like this deep person, behind this that, kind of has this gift and you know.
I'm just having fun.
Yes,
I'm not looking to hurt. I don't want to replace anyone.
As you should.
I don't want to replace anyone.
Yeah, hello, please.
I
Taylor, I think,
don't know
has
how
her
much-
own. I think she's all set. I don't think anyone has to worry here. Yeah. Tell me.
I wanted to touch on the Swiftie because I have a lot of people in my comments and DMs saying that I am not allowed to be a Taylor Swift fan if I'm not a Swiftie. So
these people are exhausting.
I immersed myself into the Swiftie fandom, that community. I immersed myself. I love just following up with the Easter eggs, all the releases. And I realized I'm a full-time mom. I was doing nursing at the time, just trying to figure out my career path. And I found myself constantly trying to keep up with Easter eggs. And I just felt like I wasn't dedicated enough. And I would make some content about, Swifties and how I'm a Swiftie. And people would question that because I wasn't constantly posting on what Taylor was doing. And eventually I realized I don't think I want to be a part of this community. I've never been the one to be a part of a group in general.
Yeah.
I'm not that type of person. I have a small circle.
Yeah.
I have a very small circle of friends. And I keep it as small as possible because the bigger it gets, the more chaotic it gets. And I felt like once I was trying to fit into a group that I just was never going to be accepted for one. And I've accepted that. I'm never going to be accepted into this group. And I am perfectly fine with that.
Yeah.
But you can be a Taylor Swift fan without being a Swiftie because there's different levels.
Yeah.
And if you don't reach that level of being a Swiftie, it's like you're not allowed in this group. You're just not.
Whew, seems like a lot of requirements.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of pressure on these Swiftie individuals who need a life.
So I don't have time to sit around and follow their every move or like, hey, this is what Taylor wore. It's like I don't follow that closely.
Yeah.
So
Okay, one last thing about Taylor and Swifties. We're on this. Something about 13. She loves that number 13. I was born on the 13th, long before you and Taylor. So actually, it's my number.
You were born on the 13th?
Yes. And
oh my gosh.
the 13th is very lucky number for me. Friday the 13th is a good day for me.
Yes.
So this is like long. So I actually claim it before Taylor, but people give you a hard time about that.
Yes, about the number 13.
You can send it my way because I have that number long before.
What they don't know is that the number 13, I know Taylor has her reasons for it being, her favorite number. But not only was I born on the 13th, which I've actually been accused of making up my birthday. I was born on March 13th.
All right, okay. These people have come for everything for you.
But 13 is a very special number for me because 13 was the age that I found out that I was living a lie, ultimately. Like my entire life was just, it blew up at 13.
Yes, with your adopted family, with everything that was going on, your sister, like things began to unravel.
Yes, 13 is when I realized, hey, there's a lot of evil in this world. So like I was forced to grow up at the age of 13. 13 follows me everywhere, like everywhere.
Yeah, it's stuck with you.
Like I found out I was pregnant with my firstborn in 2013. 2013. Also, what's even more crazy, I've just talked about it with my husband. There's not a lot of multiples of 13.
Yeah.
There's not. And each one of my family members, their birthday adds up to a multiple of 13. It's all 13.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is insane.
It does. But it's always going to be my number, and I use it because it's my lucky number.
God.
Not because of Taylor.
Okay, well, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah. Ashley Leachin, thank you so much.